like these active children, these energetic children, they are quite most of the times, they are quite misunderstood. So today we are going to work on these things of not to label these children, but work out on things like how to, make it a little better and how to understand them. Okay. So, yeah, there are few, I've changed the format a little bit today. So today, not only about classroom strategies, but I'm going to talk about strategies you teachers can apply to make your teaching process a very smooth one when you have such energetic children in your class. Okay. And yes, this is since it was going to be a little lengthy one, since I wanted to cover many different aspects. So this for this session, we won't be doing any assessments for the earlier one, but we will be going ahead with the theoretical part only today. Okay. So these are the few objectives that I have over here in this that are put across. That what all, why are they energetic? What can we do? How do we differentiate between energetic behavior, active behavior, and challenging behavior rather than labeling the child? So these things we are going to talk about. I'm going to put across some classroom management strategies as well. But there are a few approaches that I have put across, and I want you teachers to apply this. Okay. So before we start, let's start with the icebreaker. The icebreaker today is a very simple and a basic one. It's the energy meter. So how energetic are you right now? I want to know. If you put one, means you could sleep, seeing the monsoons, and if it's raining over there, I know it feels a little gloomy to sit in the afternoon. So if you just type one in the chat box, if you are a little sleepy, just normal, like, okay, yeah, I could manage thing, I'm just normal, then five. And if you could run a marathon, like you're that energetic, put a 10. I just want those the numbers. Like if you are like, if you could sleep, like if you're a little sleepy or lazy, put one. And yeah, normal, okay, five. Come on, everybody else. There's only one person who's listening. All of them are you in one or what? Okay, five. Okay, that's normal. That's a safe bet. I want to know the truth. Okay. Like if you're sleepy, just put it. If you're like very energetic, if you know, like there are many things that you're going to finish off today, you could type 10. Like today, when these workshops happen, I am like, at the level 10 because I get excited to do these workshops. So yeah, I could run a marathon right now. That energetic I am. Yeah, okay. Most of the teachers are normal, so I know not many are going to go to sleep. Come on, teachers. Nobody's sleepy. Okay. Okay. See, yeah, right now, okay, I'm getting, oh yes, I have somebody with energy level 10. Yeah. Come on, few more. We have so many teachers over here and I'm hardly getting any reviews. Any messages, hardly. I've not even 10 yet. Come on, teachers, few more. You just have to type in a number. Okay, okay. Nice. I have few, one or two in 10. Rest all are in five. Okay. All right. Yes. Come on, 10. Okay. So nobody's sleepy. Either you have your normal energetic level, or either you guys are like overly excited like I am right now. So yes. Oh, nice, nice. I have quite a few energetic ones over here. Okay, okay. All right, teachers. All right, let's just pause for a minute. Let's just pause. We'll continue. So, what we saw was not everybody had the same level of energy over here. Yeah, because even among us adults, there are the energy levels do differ. So, now imagine there are 25 children walking into your classroom with 25 different energy levels. Like, I just gave you three levels of energy. Imagine these children coming into with different levels of energy. They all are coming together in the classroom. And this is where the whole drama begins. So this is where we want it, that's what I want to talk to you about, that how the energy levels of the children changes. Even among adults, we are doing an online thing, but there are 65 teachers. Those who responded, many were in level energy level 5, but many were in level 10 also. So imagine the level of difference in the energy among us adults, and now you can think that how children will be having. So many children, so many different levels of energy. So that you have to keep in mind. Okay. Now, this is just a powerful thought that I came across, was that every behavior is a form of communication. Like everything says something to you. Every little thing that the child behaves or does says something to you. Okay, so first we are going to start off with this very interesting concept, which is active child versus challenging behavior. Like most of the children, the most energetic child in your classroom, it could be, you could describe that child as active, or more as we will describe the child as naughty. He is a very naughty child. He disrupts the entire class. She doesn't listen. She is very naughty, extremely naughty. We never say the word active, or we will term it with hyperactive. We will never say it just active in that term. Okay, so that's where our that's where this workshop comes into the picture, because this is what we have to change. So can a child be active without being naughty? So, like, yeah, there is a child who is active, who wants to do many things together, but it's not necessary that we have to label that child being naughty. Naughty is something who will go and end up troubling things, troubling people, disrupting the class. Yes, active children do it, but it is quite different. Let's get to that. See, one of the biggest mistakes we adults make is confusing, that high energy with bad behavior. See, being active, it's a developmental characteristic. Like it is there, it is going to happen among the children. But being naughty is a behavioral choice. I will tell you the differences also. Though even that, like it does overlap with each other, but that doesn't mean that you can label an active child as a naughty one. A child who runs, jumps, climbs, asks questions, who's curious, who wants to talk, who wants to share things, is often, it's a good sign that the child's brain is growing. Let's not label it as naughty. So when you are thinking that, when you're thinking, how do I stop this child? Why not we think that how can I guide this energy of the child? The child is an energetic one. How will I guide it rather than stopping or curbing that energy? This is how we have to change that approach, teachers. Okay. All right. So here what I've given is, we have active child and we have challenging behavior. So I'm not going to label the children as naughty children or, those ways. I want to name it challenging behavior. Let's just start with that approach. Let's not label the children. Okay. This is something why I am more, talking more about that, why we should not label our children. This, because this has been my first-hand experience. Like when a child is labeled as naughty, despite the child being just curious, just talkative, or just little active, and it was termed as a labeled child. Until date, that child has been being labeled by every teacher as a naughty one. Let's not do that. Let's not really label the child. Okay, any child. So here we have two things. We have active child and we have challenging behavior. For example, an active child is curious if they ask questions, but a challenging behavior will come when they repeatedly hurt others intentionally. The active child will love to explore things. They will ask many questions. They will keep talkative. They are talkative, right? Since they are curious, they will love to explore. They will want to ask questions. They would want to share their ideas also. But the challenging behavior will come when a child is not understanding the classroom boundaries. They refuses to understand those boundaries. They disrupt the learning despite giving support. They keep disrupting. They use they use those hurtful languages what they learn towards their peers. They will start using that. Those things can be labeled as challenging, not This cannot, let's just not overlap this thing. Now there's a child who will be, who likes to run because they enjoy that movement, they like to climb, they get excited easily, and they learn things by doing. They are tactile, kinesthetic learners. They want to learn things by doing things. But we will want to restrict that child, and we will say, okay, no, he's not understanding. He doesn't sit in one place. He just keeps talking. He keeps getting really. He will just want to do everything by himself. He wants to do things, this, that. But understand, what is that child doing? What is that child signaling to you? Challenging behavior would be, despite, when they are hurting, so they're pushing their classmates, they're destroying the materials, they're becoming aggressive and frustrated, like they will throw a tantrum in the classroom. They don't wish to participate in it. Even if they wish to participate, they will be disrupting the activity. They want to do it intentionally, or else they would just do it because of that aggression built in them. Those are the challenging behaviors that we need to separate from. So, see, one thing that you need to remember, even challenging behavior, basically, it's not that it's okay, that is the bad child tag they don't know. It is basically, the child needs support, the child needs some guidance, it needs some kind of regulation, understanding. Just don't punish the child. Punishment will not come into that. Okay, so here are some examples. So on and off throughout the session, I've been putting in some basic examples as well. You can just read the example, like, if the child finishes a puzzle in 2 minutes, since the active child now, in active children, I've seen that they end up finishing the puzzles very fast. They quickly do it because they are curious and they want to get done. They get excited. So they will start walking around in the classroom. And we think that, okay, the child is naughty, he's disrupting the class, he's just not paying attention, he can't sit in one place. But remember, the child may be ready for another challenge. So you can prepare those things. Okay, once the child is done, let me try and, keep one puzzle ready. I can give that child, and, I can circulate the puzzles along that way. Do something, keep remembering this way. I'm not telling you to prepare 10 puzzles only for the child and you know, keep one. And like by the time the other child finishes, you can circulate the puzzle with them. You can keep doing that way. Give them some challenges. Keep it ready. They are looking out for it. If a child keeps asking questions, during the story times, instead of thinking like, why does he have to keep interrupting me? He's disturbing. He's just not letting me complete the story. Think that he is curious. He wants to understand. Here you can do it, like, okay, you can just hold your thoughts, hold your questions. Is right after the story, I will answer all your questions. You can ask that thing to the child. Sometimes these curious children are, what happens, they think that, okay, I've got a thought in my mind. If I don't say it right now, I will end up forgetting it. Because that is what the actual child has told me. The child who was being labeled as a naughty one or as a disrupting one, the child said that if I don't ask the question right there that time, I will forget it. Then how will I remember what I wanted to know? So that was simple for the child. So they are curious. So you can either tell them, okay, remember, you can listen, all your answers are going to be questioned. After the story, you can ask me these questions. You can do that way. Prepare the child. If the child keeps standing up during circle time, okay, they're taking sit down, and you will just say sit down, and then you will say, then you just have to think before saying that, okay, has the circle time extended for a long time? Because I remember when I was with the nursery. I was a nursery teacher, and one day I just got carried away in the circle time where I'm doing the prayers and I'm doing the attendance and doing some concept, and I'm just going on and on and on and yapping. I could see the children were just, they were just done with it. They wanted to listen, but they couldn't sit for some that long. Young children can't sit for so long. So the children, would just lie down, and they started, I could see that they were not paying attention. That's when I realized that, okay, the children have been sitting for a long time. So young children naturally need frequent movement. If you know your circle time is going to extend, just do something in middle and get done with it, like that way. What these 1 minute. Yeah. Which of these behaviors have you labeled as naughty in the past? I would like to know, teachers. Like, any behavior, you can put it in the chat box, about any behavior that you uh, labeled in the past. Now you feel that, okay, yes, this was not a naughty child, but an active child who wanted to know something, who was doing it without any intentions. So, yeah. I would like to know that. You can put it in the chat box as I'll continue, because we have many things to continue. Now, children are not born with the intention to make our lives difficult. No, this is their part of growing up. This is them developing. So it is our thing, our duty or role to channelize that energy that they have, not just suppress it, as I mentioned earlier also. Don't suppress that curiosity. Now the major thing that comes in is, why are they so active? What are the reasons? So there are several reasons over here. As you can see, I've put it up on the screen. We will be talking about each of them. Sorry, we will be talking about each of them individually also. So we have brain development, we have curiosity, need for movement, sensory exploration, developing self-control, and short attention span. So these are some of the reasons that they are so active. We will be talking about them, of course. But yes, so would you as an adult stay, if I go on gapping like this for 2 hours, I just keep talking about talking. Would you adults stay still? Like, will just not move, will not do anything, will not get distracted? Will you be okay with that? Will you be able to do that? No, right? Even I won't be able to do that. If I have to go on talking for 2 hours, even I'll be getting restless. Even if I am the one doing the talking. So because children, they are young, they are not meant to be stay still for a long time. They have to use that energy, right? So that is what it is. Activity is not the exception, it is the expectation that we have. Okay, now first, as I said, that brain is still developing. So the part of that brain is responsible, for self-control. Just a moment, I'll just have a sip of water, teachers. Just a moment, okay? Give me a second, please. Sorry. Yeah, I think I turned off the video also by mistake. So sorry. Okay, so the brain is still developing, like the part of the brain, our brain is responsible for telling us, the self-control. Self-control, like when you are doing yoga, for example, when you're meditating, you're telling yourself to keep your eyes shut. You're telling yourself to breathe in and breathe out. That is self-control. Planning things, waiting, paying attention, managing emotions. It is all a part of the brain, like it's the function of the brain. But the child's brain is still not developed yet. It's still in that process of growing. It's still in the process of developing. You can't expect them too many things to be done. So like they're still learning these skills. So they are not expected that they are not born with, as masters of these skills, right? So that thing we need to remember. The brain, so that is why they interrupt, they forget instructions, they act before thinking, they find waiting difficult. Even as an adult, I act before thinking at times, most of the times, in fact. So I'll just do something and I'm like, okay, I should have thought and done this. So that is happening with us as well. What do you expect from the children? Yeah. They learn through movement. Like for us, we can sit in one place, we can go on reading for like a good amount of time. Then we do need, some time to stretch and do, and again we'll do it. So we also need movement, right? We can listen to a 1 hour long podcast or a workshop like this. We can listen, but for them, it is more like, sensory learning. It is more like that active base, that fine motor skills, gross motor skills should be in that that there should be some kind of movement. They should be building, exploring, experimenting, touching different textures, experiencing things. That's what it is. Learning is an experience for them. It is not a, the thing. Yeah. So their curiosity at this age, because they have just entered the world, they are exploring the world around them. So they are also learning. They are also curious about these things. And we want them to experience these things. Like the children want to know, what if I stack the blocks in different way? What if I jump over the chair? It is there. It is going on in their mind. We have to, channelize this curiosity in a very positive way. I'm not telling you to disrupt your entire class and not pick up any concept and just keep answering to their curiosity. No, but we can channelize it, right? So that's what we want. Their attention span, we end up forgetting this. A preschooler's attention span is only for a few minutes. Okay, we need to see why do we need those transition activities? Why do we have so many songs? Why do we have these games and movement for the children? Because if their attention is done after after a few minutes, you need to bring them back. So you need some diversion, some transition, and then come back to the focus. So that's what we need. Why? This is why. See, I just told you this. So why do we need some activities where they are occupied? More than one sensory organs are occupied. Like if they are just going to listen, if you're going to make a toddler sit here in front of the screen do you expect them to just listen to me? Even though how interesting my presentation may be, or how whatever it may be, will they sit? No. But if you give the child, the same moment, give them some activity, give them something that they are learning and talk about these recent things like sorting, anything, they will be doing it. They will be involved in it. Yeah. And expecting young children to sit still for a long time those expectations are unrealistic. They are not acceptable. Okay. Now they have a lot and lot of physical energy. They are like, these chota, those chota dhamaka, they say, like it is just ready to burst. It is just ready to burst out. So they naturally need to run, jump, climb, balance, dance, anything they need it. And these movements will, of course, help them, with their coordination, with their balancing skills, motor skills will get developed. They will build their strength. So you can try, when you're doing a concept or anything, put in something, like every time you hear this letter, clap or jump or do a funny dance or a jiggle wiggle, anything, just include it in your lessons. You don't need a different prop, or you don't need to, change your entire lesson plan for this thing. Just put in, keep dropping it in, as and when. So if you know, okay, this is going to be like this. So if you're talking about if you're doing EVS, and if you're going to make them do vehicles, so every time you hear, do like make the honking sound. So there's some sound, there's some action. Do some action of driving. Anything, just keep making them do something. So it's not it's a developmental need for the children. You can't expect them to cross their hands and just like sit and listen to you. No. They are still learning self-regulation. Means, what does it basically self-regulation means? They are learning to manage their emotions, their behavior, their impulses. Like they are not born with these things. They don't know how to manage their emotions. They don't know how to manage their behavior. They are still learning the difference between the good and bad and right and wrong and all these things. So they will need it. They will learn it through these predictable routines, practice, positive relationship, and the adult guidance that they need. Yeah. So it's not, they are learning a skill. They are not here to challenge you as a teacher and question your teaching abilities. So if you think that, okay, this child I can't manage, I just don't know how to handle this child, and then you end up thinking, am I a good teacher? I may not be a good teacher at all. No, the child is not here to make you question that. The child needs some guidance, some practice into things, understanding, some self-regulation that needs to be learned in that child. That's what we need. So instead of asking when why can't this child just sit still? Ask, what does this child need in order to learn successfully? So okay, yeah, if this child is not able to sit still, what can I do? What activity can I put in? What can I just change a little bit for him? That way you can think, simple thinking, they will transform your classroom management, because it is controlling you. Instead of controlling their behavior, manage them, manage their behavior, support their behavior, and not support like encourage bad behavior, but support their development, divert it. Yeah, we need to understand why children behave the way they do. We need to stop seeing problems and start seeing possibilities. Now, what I've done is I have put across some approaches for you teachers. Okay, these approaches, it's what you need to adapt to. You need to learn these. We are not going to teach these approaches to our young ones, but it is for us teachers. You can, these can also help you in your non-school life, in your personal life as well. So just see if that approach, you can adapt it. Yeah. So the very first approach is the behavior iceberg. It is basically, behavior is what we see. The reason lies beneath. So if you've seen an iceberg, I've just put across. If you see, this was the Titanic iceberg, which I tried to search and I found it. So the Titanic ice, you see the ship on the in the picture, it was hit by just this much of that iceberg that is visible. Just see how much was there below the sea. That was never seen how big the iceberg is. So even if from far, if you see an iceberg, you may think it's just a small chunk of ice. No, below it, it may be a huge one. Yeah. So this is what it is. We have to remember. When you know that, okay, what do we notice first when a child is running around the classroom? We will notice he's not understanding, he's just disrupting. It's so many things we will think, okay? But we will see, that they are running, the child is, some children are shouting, they are not listening, they're disturbing others, they're climbing up on the furniture, they're talking continuously. So many behaviors that we see, right? But these behaviors are only those that we see. This is just the tip of the iceberg, just the topmost part of it. Just like, as I showed you that iceberg, the how much that is hidden below the surface, beneath the surface, is where we need to work on. Okay, it is not visible. So, like, if we think that what's wrong with the child, we may think, rather than think that what is that child's behavior telling me? Why is the child behaving like this? Like, why is the child going and using this hurtful languages to the children? Is the child listening it from somewhere? From where? What is there some exposure that the child is getting, where the child is learning these words from? This is what we need to tap, and not keep poking these things on the child, right? So behavior is a communication, as I said earlier. So they are still learning to express, they are still building their communication. So we need to learn they are communicating with us through their behavior. Okay. Now, here what I've put is things that what we see, things that are above the water in this. So you need to remember, like, running around, all these things which I mentioned, they are listed over here. You will need these things, like throwing toys, refusing to sit, not sharing. All these things we see from the child. Okay, these behaviors we usually respond to also. But what we don't see, what are the possible reasons? So if the child is, walking around, is disturbing, they may be hungry, they may be tired, they may want to use the washroom, they may be feeling unwell if the child is crying unnecessarily. Yeah, they may also have some emotional needs, like they want that attention. They are not comfortable. There's something that is making them anxious. They are missing their parents. Their friend is not there, so they may be feeling left out. They are overwhelmed with some activity because they were not able to do it, or they found it challenging. Then they need movement, as I said. They are curious. They are learning things. They don't understand that we expect certain things from them. They are too young to understand these things. And their attention span is has ended. So now we need to do it. So these are quite a lot of possible reasons that we sometimes miss out in seeing and understanding. So these things that you need to see, like, their environmental, so probably, if the child is suddenly very anxious and is clinging to you and just not letting you go and not letting you do any activities. Is the classroom too noisy? Is it like, too hot for them or too cold for them? Was there too much of sitting? Was the activity too challenging for them? Or was it too easy so they lost interest? Were they waiting for a long time for the turn to come for any game or an activity? There are so many reasons for the child to behave like this. If suddenly, for example, a child, they are waiting for in a line to play in a queue, or they're just waiting for the turn to come, and if a child suddenly pushes another child, you will think that what is he doing? Why did he hit the other child? It may be the child has become impatient. The child cannot wait anymore. The child doesn't know how to vent out that overwhelming feeling, that anxiety. This is how the child will do, right? So we need to remember this. Uh, for example, a child keeps getting up during circle time. Most teachers think he isn't listening, right? Most teachers will think he isn't listening. But then think and look beneath the iceberg. It could be that the circle time has gone for more than 20 minutes. It could be the child needs movement. It could be that they don't understand the story, they are not able to connect with it. Or it could also be the room is a little hot, that the child needs to go to the washroom. Anything, the behavior is going to be the same. The child is disturbing the class by getting up. Okay, but it could be so many of these reasons. So the reasons are completely different. So the solution should also be different, right, teachers? 1 minute. Now, if we only correct the behavior, it may return. If we tell the child, okay, don't push anybody. If you push it, I'm not liking it. I will punish you. What is the behavior? It may just return. If we understand the reason behind the behavior, we can truly help the child. Now, this is the first approach I did, the iceberg approach. Okay. The second approach is over here, the energy bucket. Okay. So, this is correlating with the icebreaker that we did today, was about the energy levels, right? So, every child, as I said that time also, they enter the classroom with a different energy level every day. If, sorry, if there is one child who's entered the classroom with the energy level of 10, the next day the child may come with the energy level of 1, because the child may not have slept well or is restless or is hungry, anything. So it could be that way. So some children, they will walk in quietly, some will bounce through the door. That's perfectly normal, the way they come. You can't expect all the children to have the same amount of energy, right? Don't expect. So now here is the approach, is that imagine every child is carrying an invisible bucket filled with energy. Some children arrive with half a bucket. That is, they are quiet, they are calm, they need encouragement to participate. Okay, the quiet ones. Some come with one full bucket. That is, they are ready to learn, they are balanced, and they can participate even with minimal support. If you just push the child, okay, come on, please encourage the child will participate. And the others, they come with 3 overflowing buckets. They are running, they are talking, they are jumping, they are climbing. These children don't have bad behavior. They simply have more energy to use, right? It is a lot of energy that they have, and they are coming with that overflowing buckets. So remember, all the children, um, they enter with different buckets, okay, different number of buckets and different amount of buckets. So our job is not to empty the bucket, our job is to channelize the energy into meaningful activities. See, so if the child has come with 3 overflowing buckets, you don't have to just stop it and empty the bucket there and there, or tell the child to leave the buckets out of the classroom. No, if it overflows, it is our thing to guide them that, okay, we can do something with these energy, utilize that energy, make that child do some jumping activity, some freezing activity, something like that, okay? But make them do it. So instead of saying, now how can we teachers channel the energy, okay? Instead of saying stop moving, try let's march to the carpet. Okay, you know that okay, the child is just restless and he's just moving around and doing things. Do it marching. Let's march to the carpet. Come on. So we are using that energy, we are channelizing it. Okay, then we have the next one. Instead of saying sit quietly, let's do 5 jumps. Jump up high at the last one and sit down. This works. This really, really works. Just if they're not coming in sitting down, I want you all to jump 5 times. Then at the last jump, jump up as high as you can and sit. Yeah, we want that. Don't touch if we tell them, don't touch this, don't touch that. Why not we say, let's explore it together. But right now, it's not the time to explore it. When it is, we will do it together. Or if you are going to do it, if you are going and making and doing an activity, let them just, okay, you can touch it. And then come on, let's start again with the activity. Now, instead of saying, stop talking, why not we just pause our lesson for a moment and we tell the teacher children, come on, turn to your partner and share one idea only, one at a time. Once you are done, so they are like, okay, satisfied. Yeah, I wanted to share something and I have done. And now, yeah, now for some time I'm ready to listen. They'll feel so proud of it. Yeah, I wanted to say something and I got a chance to say. So then there and there, your constant saying of stop talking will stop at that time. If the child keeps tapping the table, like this, they keep tapping. Instead of punishment, give the child a rhythm activity. Like tell the child, okay, why don't you make a rhythm? Like tap 2, 2, and 1, 2, 2, 1, something like that. If the child runs, whenever the changing of activity is happening. So instead of shouting, just give it a little meaningful approach when you're changing. Like for example, let us now march to the other march around, and then we will change the activity. Let us now walk like an animal, do an animal walk, do any fun activity, clap 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 and do roly poly, anything, and then do the marching, anything you can make them do it, and then you can start the next activity. Then if the child finishes work early, then they start disturbing others. Instead of telling the child to keep quiet or to wait for others, why not you keep ready some, we all have those puzzle cards or anything there. So give it to the child. Or make the child your helper for the day. Like make the child your helper, like books helper. Okay, so you will be ready. Whoever's work is done, you have to collect the books. So you are channelizing. They are also using that. Okay, rather than disturbing the class, they are down. They feel responsible enough that okay, and they are busy doing certain things, so then they are not disrupting others, right? So think about, okay, this we will do if we come at the end of the thing, but I have many things to cover, so I'll just go on. Now see, they are full of energy, and because they are growing, learning, energy is not the enemy, remember that. And unchanneled energy is a challenge that we as teachers need to overcome. Okay. When teachers, we provide them, rather than thinking, rather than telling them to stop something, stop that behavior, why not we divert that energy into something more useful, teachers? Right? That's what we want. Now, so we did this energy buckets, like the low energy ones, the balanced energy, and the overflowing energy. This is just a short summarized version of these. So you can just go through it and we will move ahead. The third approach is shift in thinking from controlling their behavior to guiding their behavior. How can we shift that thinking into us? Okay. Like, see, when a child misbehaves, the first thought that comes to our mind is stop it. Don't do that. You are not going to behave like this, right? But these thoughts are completely natural. I'm not blaming anybody that, okay, I'm not questioning your teaching abilities. I'm not questioning your skills, teachers, because, being in this profession is the most selfless profession you can be in. So I am not questioning anybody, but this is just a human tendency. And trust me, I have done that so many times and I keep doing it with my children also. So the first thing that will come to my mind is just stop it, right? That's the first thought that comes. Despite trying these approaches myself. I've tried these approaches personally as well, but I still end up thinking, oh God, again, stop it, right? So this is completely natural, teachers, okay? But today, let us try to think a little differently. Okay, so sometimes, changing our perspective changes the child's behavior. This particular uh, approach which I'm telling you about was told to me by one of the by a counselor friend who was there. She had recommended this approach to me while I was facing some issues when it came to my parenting for my children. So this is where this I thought is appropriate, and if we can apply it in our classroom also, it can change quite a lot of things. So this is what it is. So now see, she gave me these are the four powerful mindset shifts that we have. So instead of asking, like, how do I stop this behavior? This is the first question I ended up asking. Like, my child has become like, he just doesn't behave. How do I stop it? She told me to approach it this way, that why is he behaving like this? And when I thought about it like that, I could understand why the child was behaving like that. Okay, so why rather than how, make it why. Understanding always comes before solving. We can't just go and solve a problem without knowing that what exactly, why has that problem occurred in the first place, right? The second thing is that we will end up saying, the child is difficult. He just doesn't manage, he's not manageable at all. This child is finding something difficult, which I need to keep a thing on, because that is why the child is behaving like this. We will go, and now since we found the problem, let us now look out for options where all the solutions can be, or the options of tapping into the right problem, like pinpointing and finding the problem. So this is where the big difference happened, right? So first, in the first case, the child is difficult. We labeled the child there, and there in one sentence, the child was labeled. But the moment we say that, okay, we have to find something that is making the child so uncomfortable and he's finding it difficult. That is where we are looking for the cause of the problem, right? Now, instead of thinking, like the child has too much energy, I just don't know what to do with this child. Think, how can I use this energy positively? Here you have to remember the energy bucket also. So that energy is not something that you can remove. You cannot just do it. You have to guide. So what if, the child is energetic? Give some responsibilities to the child. Make the child do some activity, or have a quick physical game or a song where the child is exerted, and you give some make them do it that way, and then you can shift instead of reacting immediately. I'm coming to the next approach, which is pause, observe, think, and then respond. Okay, so the child learn from calm adults. This is something that I'm still I'm really happy with the fact that okay, this came into the picture. I mean, I was introduced to this concept, and I'm here, and I'm very happy to put it across to you also, because it does help. When you just pause, even for a second, even for a second, and this can be used in your personal lives as well, and also in your teaching, in your classroom scenario also. So children will learn from when the teachers are calm. When we are agitated and we are frustrated and we don't want to listen, this is how the children will also behave, right? So we don't want that. Now see, here I've just put in as these four shifts that we understood. I am giving in some situations. Okay, so the child keeps getting up during the story time, so we will say he's disturbing the class. Why not we think like, maybe he needs some movement, or the story has gone for far too long. Or else we can do is, in one of the thing, that to just pause for the story, and if anything comes in, like the dog ran very fast, tell the children to run very fast for a second. You will get their attention back. The child keeps asking questions. So, like, we will say, the old thinking was that, okay, she keeps interrupting. Why not we think that, okay, she's curious and she's engaged. She's listening. That's why she's asking you these questions. That's the best thing. The child finishes work quickly and they starts talking. He is distracting everyone. Instead of that, just say he needs an extension activity. Why not we keep some backup ready? Right? Just give Play-Doh. It will calm them down. Okay, go sit in that corner and play with Play-Doh rather than telling the child to wait. See, it works. So the change, when we change the way we look at the behaviors, we change the way how we respond to it. Okay. The children don't always need that strict discipline. Discipline will happen. They need somebody who understands their needs because they don't. So this is the next approach which we have is pause, observe, respond. This is a very simple three-step strategy. Very basic one. The words only say it all. Okay. The very first one is pause. Then we go to observe, then we respond. Let's take the step one, which is pause. So before saying anything, just pause for a few seconds. Like take a deep breath. Pause. In that, when you pause now, you will think, okay, is anyone in danger? Does this need my immediate intervention? Do I need to, can I respond it calmly instead of, like emotionally? Children will borrow our emotions. Remember that. If we stay calm, they will stay calm. And trust me, when you pause even for 3 seconds to 5 seconds also, trust me, you will automatically calm down a little bit. But you have to remember to pause. If there are children who are disrupting the entire class, instead of just like shouting or just, our human tendency is just to go and stop them. Pause. Pause for like few seconds. And trust me, the approach will be there. Then the next one is observe. Now become that behavior detective. Like, wow, what just happened? If you saw two children fighting, why were they fighting? What did just happen? Is that child hungry? Is that child tired? Or what was happening? What is going on? What were they finding this too easy? So they got distracted. What to make them distracted? Anything you can ask. So here I am correlating it with the behavior iceberg approach. Okay. There should be a reason for every behavior. The third is respond. So now you will respond to it, and this is just a matter of few seconds. Here I'm telling you, when I'm explaining, it looks as if um a long process. No. So if the child keeps running, so you will see that problem. You will pause. What happened to the child? I think the child is over energetic today. Let me calm down the child, or let me divert the child's attention, observe it. Then instead of shouting, what you can do, the response will be let everyone march like soldiers in the classroom for the next activity for 2 seconds, for few minutes. See, the whole thing is diverted. All right. So if the child keeps talking, so instead of saying be quiet, you will say, okay, you will observe that, yeah, the child is curious, they need to understand. You will say, I love your ideas. Can you hold on to that thought? I'll come to you in a moment. Give the child a moment after the activity is over. It won't take too much of a time. The child keeps leaving the seat. So, give them purposeful movement jobs, collect crayons, be today's helper, and all these things. Give them that thing. Next, we have the child disturbs others after finishing these things, as I mentioned. Keep something backup ready and let them do it. So okay, this also I will ask if the time permits, but the goal is not to stop their behavior immediately, but first to understand the child, then to observe what is needed, and then respond it with the way that is most helpful to them. Okay. So remember this. Remember it like this. First you stop, then you get into the action, and then do the action when it's green signal. So you go. Okay, so prevent before behavior before you correct it. So here I'm just, the best classroom management happens before the behavior begins. So here, see, now here what I want you is to think like a child. Okay, so we have few more minutes I'll take, but I'll just quickly do it. So think like a child, like you are a 3-year-old and you are sitting for 20 minutes, you are expected to wait. Would you find it difficult? I would. As an adult also, I would find it difficult to just sit like and stay quiet and wait for my turn, even for a long time. So we are going to do it, and we are doing this with them every day. Why not we do it? So this is where another rule comes in, that is the ABC rule. It is overlapping with our pause, observe, respond approach. But yeah, first you need to remember the A is the activity engaging? Is it fun? Is it hands-on? Is it like, age appropriate? What is it? The children often misbehave, when they are bored or they are frustrated. So is it age appropriate? Then is this behavior expected from this age? So like, if for a 3-year-old to leave done with the work activity and start walking around, it is normal. It is absolutely normal. They find, they need movement, they find waiting difficult. It is absolutely normal. Yeah. The third one is the classroom environment helping for or hindering. So, like, is the classroom overcrowded? Is it too dark? Is it too bright? Is it that the children are not comfortable? Is it that, they were waiting for a long time and now it's happening? So, is there enough movement in the day? So, we can do it that way. The classroom scenario. So for example, the teacher will complain, my children become very noisy after snack time. And this is my personal experience. That's why I put in when I was in the classroom, they would be restless. I couldn't do any activities after snack time. And then I would, like go and become like, try to put in some discipline and be a little strict and tell them to sit and listen and all that. But what was it? So it was basically after snack time, they were energetic. They needed some kind of a movement before doing it. They didn't want to sit. If you would put in some games, they were engaged. If you would put in, some movement, they would engage. Perhaps that's the problem. The problem isn't the children, it is the schedule. So remember that. These are few strategies. Instead of waiting for problems, give them clear instructions. Keep it what your things are expected in the classroom. Keep the instructions short and simple. Don't complicate them. Give them, alternate activities. Quiet activity, active activity. Quiet, active. Use visual schedules, like give them a clock. Put a clock wherein, they know what is going on and which schedule is it. Keep children actively involved. Praise positive behavior more than you correct negative. Don't keep correcting. So here again, we want the children to be, instead of saying that how do I manage this difficult behavior, how can I prevent it from happening is where it comes. Okay. So these are some basic triggers, the common triggers that sets the children off, like they are hungry or tired, waiting line too long or too much sitting, overcrowded, overstimulating environment. All these I've said it, so I'm just going to brush past through that. Now we come to some positive strategies. Okay. Now see, for example, this is something that how we speak. Think about the last 5 instructions that you have given in your classroom. Did it start with don't or no? Don't run. Don't shout, children. Let's not speak loudly. No, 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 no. We go on, right? So if I tell you, don't think of a pink elephant, what came to your mind? All of you. Did you think of a pink elephant? Right? We did. So the same thing applies to the children. Our brains naturally focus on the actions we hear. So if you are saying don't run, they are only hearing run. They need to be told what to do instead. So instead of saying don't run, we can say let's walk. As slowly as we can. Let's walk as fast as we can. Let's hop slowly and go there. Anything, but change it. If you say don't, our brains are will focus only on the actions we heard. When I said don't think of a pink elephant, but I'm sure all of you thought of a pink elephant. So I just want to know, if give me a thumbs up if you thought of a pink elephant when I said don't think of a pink elephant. Give me a thumbs up if you thought. And teachers, you were messaging in the, see, we all thought, see, so many teachers. Yes, we all thought of a pink elephant and we all thought of a different pink elephant. I thought of it as a cute baby elephant. Somebody must have thought of a big one with pink elephant, pink colored elephant, anything. So that is our different things, different approach. And yes, see, teachers, you were putting messages in the chat box, and yeah, that's the correct one. Chota packet, bada dhamaka. So they are like that. They are full of energy. Yes, and yes, the teacher, one of Komal ma'am said that one of the child in their school has the same traits which I'm talking about. So try to put in these strategies. Try to put in. Okay, you will come to know the child will be a different person, altogether. Trust me. So yeah, see, I got so many thumbs up for not thinking of a pink elephant. So this is what we are talking about. So use the positive language, right? Reduce this confusion. Don't run. They will not listen to, they will only say run and they will be confused. Let's walk. Simple thing. So correct their behavior, but not using a negative command. Right? So here I'm just guiding you through. I'm just giving you some options. Don't run. Use your walking feet. Stop shouting. Let's use our indoor voice or soft voice. Don't push. Keep your hands to yourself. This they will listen. Don't throw your blocks. Don't throw the blocks. Put the blocks gently in the basket. It's just a simple approach, teachers. You don't have to learn these phrases. It's just the approach that you have to change a little bit, tweak it a little bit, because then the behavioral thing will change automatically. Stop talking. It's listening time. When your turn comes to share, you will come next. Okay? Don't climb on the chair. Chairs are for sitting. Let's keep our feet on the floor. Trust me, they will do it. Don't make a mess. Keep your classroom neat together. We can all do it together. Be careful. Walk slowly and watch where we are going. Trust me, they listen. Trust me, they listen. So now these phrases I wanted you all to write, but if the time permits, I will come back to this for sure and I want your responses. Okay. Now, children learn better when we tell them what we expect them to do rather than what we don't want them to do. Simple as that. There is no rocket science. It is just basic thing. Okay. Give them responsibility. Busy hands, busy minds, better behavior. Remember this. So here I am giving you some responsibility, some things that will keep them occupied. Okay, these energetic children. So here are a few things like when this energetic child comes in and this child is very chirpy early when they come in the classroom during concept time. The weather reports will be check the report. They will have to they will be the weather reporter. They will go and check it and they have to share it in their classroom. Everything. Then one child who's always wants to run down during outdoor play, make that the child the line leader. The child will, okay, you have to ensure that everybody is walking in a line. Trust me, the child will go very slowly. Attendance helper, if the child is getting distracted, tell them to do this. Plant helper, make them do that. Music helper, book monitor. Give the children these jobs. It will work. It will help. See, here in front of you, if you have 6 children who are little active or who has a little challenging behavior, assign these duties to them. Trust me, your work is getting done. So then offer limited choice. This is like a tried and tested, and I still do it. And in fact, I've been doing it since I had learned this when I had attended a workshop when I was a preschool teacher, and I applied it on my children as well. And I've been doing it with my children and it works. Like instead of, telling them, which sweater are you going to wear? No, rather than them saying, come on, it's time to wear a sweater, and them saying no, we can just simply tell them, which sweater do you want to wear, the red one or the blue one? And simple, they get that independence, they get the thing that, oh, I make the decision, it's my call. They will swear. Our purpose is served that they have to wear the sweater. Our purpose is served. Remember this. I've tried it and it has worked always. So rather than saying in the classroom, sit down now. Would you sit down on the red mat or on the blue mat? Will you sit down with a high jump or a low jump? Simple. Start coloring. Which color would you like to start with? Or would you like to color with crayons or pencils? Or give them the choice. Which color would you like to start with? Red one, blue one, orange one, whichever one. Ask them. Clean up your toys or pack up your toys. Rather than saying, let's put away the top blocks first and then should we put the puzzles first? What do you think we should do? Give them the choice. They think they are making the call. They think they are taking the decision and it will work. See, because then, the power struggle reduces. We are encouraging independence. We are increasing cooperation. The key is to offer choices within limits and not unlimited options. Okay. So an energetic child keeps wandering around the class during art time. Rather than saying sit down immediately, would you like to paint at this table or the easel? You know, the children will feel capable, trusted, and involved. They are not just there to listen. They are not just passive listeners. They are involved in that thing. So it's another reminder that they need a simple, meaningful role. Okay, so the choices build cooperation among the children. They also think, yeah, okay, I did it, let me do it, kind of a thing. The next thing is the power of routine. I'm just rushing it, more 2 minutes and I'm done. Okay, remember, they thrive when they know the routine, when they are aware of it. The moment they go off the track of the routine, they will get distracted. They will get their anxiety will get reduced, right? So remember this. So these are few things that you can apply. These are some brain breaks that you can put it in your like popcorn, like jump up and down like popcorns are popping, stretch and reach, like stretch your arms, legs and whole body, and then stretch as much as you can, so you're releasing the tension and you're just making them calm. Shake it out, dance freely, and then freeze. Animal walk, freeze dance. The message is that movement is not a distraction, but it works as a brain break. Give it every 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Within that, it's fine. Give it to them. Yeah. So this is the same thing, overlapping thing. The music will help us, and we've already done music and movement, and we know how they help and when are we supposed to use it and how it helps the children. So that's the same thing. So I will not go much about it. This is something that I wanted to say about from chaos to calm. So it's like two classrooms, two outcomes. Which one would you prefer? Sit down, stop talking rather than saying give visual uses. Okay, tell them, you've made a clock of the routine and tell them, okay, now it's time for activity. So everybody is prepared. Okay, this comes after this. That way. The children are active because they are developing. Okay, connection comes before correction. Remember this. Okay, teachers. This was again a reflection. But just I would like to end this workshop because I don't want to take too much of your time. But the children are active because they are developing. Remember that. We need to remember, and the key sentence here is connection comes before correction. Remember the approaches that we spoke about, the energy bucket, the behavior iceberg, the shifts that I told you, pause, observe, respond. You can try applying this and see it will help you. And there are some teachers one of the teachers did say they had a child with similar kind of traits. Try these when I gave you those examples. Try those strategies in the classroom. Okay, because I want to know in the next class that whether these strategies worked or no. Okay, and I'm definitely going to ask you all. If I forget, I want you all to tell me beforehand, like, tell me that, okay, I applied this strategy and this worked. So we get an idea also, it becomes like a two-way approach. Okay, simple as that, teachers. So thank you. And some any questions that are there are welcome, teachers. Otherwise, we've come to an end of our workshop, and I hope you found it interesting and you found it relatable and helpful. So just tell me, teachers, any doubts, anything you let me know. Glad to know that it was very helpful. Any of the approaches, if you apply in the classroom, in your personal lives, anything, just let me know. It would be great feedback for us. It would be great. Please do. If the child is constantly staying outside the classroom, teachers, I want you to see what are the reasons why the child doesn't want to come in the classroom first. What are the reasons? If you want that, okay, you want, try to make the child sit next to their friend so that they will be eager to come inside the classroom. See what activities the child likes. If the child likes painting, start with some painting activity or inculcate that little bit so the child will come in the classroom. That way you can try and make an approach. Understand the child first, why the child doesn't want to come. What is the reason? The child doesn't like, okay, he is showing interest in nothing, then first you see what the child is interested in. Sometimes it may be the child may be interested in cars or anything. So start your day with using the car. Start your day a concept to you talking about the cars or getting those car toys out. Look out for that. Uh, you know Look out for those interest the child has. Talk to the child. Talk if the child is not ready to talk. Talk to the parent. What does the child like? Do that in the classroom, so the child will feel more welcomed. Will feel more. Will like it. Yeah, he doesn't even. Okay, yeah. So there is an issue of. There is more like a trust issue that is happening. He is still not comfortable. Okay, don't touch. Well, okay, accept it that okay, the child doesn't want me to touch his belongings. Okay, fine, but talk. First see what the child is interested in. No, yeah. So what will you say if you give puzzle to one child and if the others are getting distracted? Tell the children those. So if you are making the children sit in the center of the classroom and making them do the activity, what you can do is tell the child who's done or active. You can put the puzzles in a corner. So you can tell the children once you are done with your activity properly and neatly, or not neatly but properly, then you can get up and go and do a puzzle in that corner. Simple. Give them this simple, uh, uh, you know, uh, simple instructions, short instructions. Tell them, okay, this will happen only after you complete this, so that it is a channelized process. That's it. Okay. Anything else you do, let me know. I will be happy to clear it. Uh, some live example scenarios which teachers face as challenging. Okay, I try to put in as many as um, scenarios that are relatable to the teachers, but we will do try to come up with any life examples also. But since the number of teachers are very high in this in this webinars, so we are not able to do that, but we will do try to inculcate that also well. Thank you, ma'am. If he doesn't listen, distract them. Don't keep telling him, come here, come here, come here. Don't keep encouraging the child. Don't keep pulling the child towards you. Okay, he doesn't want to listen. He's sitting in the class. Fine. Whatever he does, it's going inside his ears, right? So whatever you're doing something, do some activity, some dance, play a game, anything that you have, then just randomly after some time ask the child, you want to do it? Join. No? Okay. Don't join. Fine. Be comfortable. You come. The child will automatically come. Let them get comfortable. Yeah. Somebody did ask for the review link. So, Supriya ma'am or Pooja ma'am, somebody did ask for a review link. Can you just share it over here, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, I'll share.
Yes, please. Thank you. Otherwise, yeah, thank you, teachers. I hope all your questions I have tried to solve it. And somebody did ask for the review link. We are putting it forward. And please do go on the review link and please do drop in a feedback or a review. It really appreciates, the thing that, okay, yeah, we did work hard for this this webinar, and it is, the teachers that are finding it helpful. And that is helpful for us. Thank you so much, teachers. A child in nursery, he always wants to run. Okay. Okay, one by one, I will say there is first one is the child is in nursery. He always wants to run, right? So what you'll do is before you start the activity, make them do some physical activity like jump high, then stomp your feet, jog in one place. So do some physical activity. Now tell them, okay, now it's time to calm down and relax because our legs need some time to rest. Let them sit. Try this. This should work for the child. Okay, it will help, and if the child is yeah. And yes, thank you. There is a child in my class who's distracted all the time. He takes others belongings, throws, never listens, tried approaching her in different ways, disturbing the whole class. Give her the responsibility thing which I told you. Make her responsible. Okay, that you are the one responsible for books, so go and give these books. So if the child is done with her activity, okay, now why don't you get the crayons and give one crayon to each child. Give the child some activity. Keep the child occupied that way. She will forget how to distract others because the child needs some challenge around her. She takes others' belongings. We can try that approach. That how about we use our hands to play with the toys and not throw things. Keep telling that approach. It will change, but it will change slowly because there is a little bit level of agitation or frustration in the child. So to tap into that, we have to first start making the child, listen to us. Once we listen, then it will progress. I like the approach what you said, teacher, Aisha ma'am, that how should you help her? It was not that how can I change that behavior or that, but you understood that the child needs some kind of help, and also try to understand why the child is, uh, uh, you know, uh, so energetic. Like, is the child fed some, sugary products before coming to school? That could also be a sugar spike, could also be one of the factors. So you can ask that also to the child, to the parent, and see. Try that approach and let me know. If not, if it doesn't work or anything, I'm here. We can discuss it out, and there are so many teachers also. We all can discuss it out in the next session as well. Any other doubts? Anything, teachers? Please do let me know. Thank you, teachers. Thank you. And if no doubts, and then you can, you can, you can leave the meeting. I'm keeping the window open for 2 more minutes.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So I am in my office actually. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Here my teachers are there.
Hello, teachers. Yes.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes.
So actually we want to join the in time that session. Actually, due to the class was been there, so unable to have. Now only I joined. So I missed your session. So next
Oh,
session I will be.
you'll be
I
there for the next session. Yeah,
next
definitely. But
session.
if you want, we can share the recorded link also, sir.
Okay, you send the record same WhatsApp number only. Actually, I
Yeah.
want to join at 2 to 3. These people they'll be having class. They went for lunch. They came, due to
Okay.
delay. So I told them actually, I called, I told them I'll join, try to. So it has little bit delay. I'll be in a position to
Okay.
tomorrow. You can send the link. I'll be in a position to join. Okay.
Yeah. Whenever we have the next session, sir, we will, anyways, you'll get the link. And also, I'll tell them to share the recorded uh, meeting also, the recorded webinar workshop, so that
Okay.
you can see it also, sir.
Ma'am, you are from Pune?
No, sir. I am from, the company is from Pune. I'm from Mumbai, sir.
Okay, that's what just I want to confirm. They
Yes,
send
yes.
the check, no, the Pune or Bombay, just I want. Okay, thank you very
Yes,
much.
yes, yes. Okay. And which school, sir? So I can tell the.
Actually, it is a Ratna University Teacher Training Center. We are having a small session for students teaching at evening time. We are having a coaching center also.
Okay, that's nice.
We,
That's
I am
nice.
having, we are having a 6 schools. We are doing our work. You can see my, now you'll get an idea. Can you see my office?
Okay, sir.
We are having a value education. We are having a library education. We are set up. We'll do for all ICC, CBSE. We are having a team of people. We'll give training. Especially, we need your training also. That's why just
That would be yeah, yeah. I'll share the link. Just do me a favor. Can you just message me your center name and everything in the chat box so I can forward it, sir?
I'll send. I'll send. I'll send. I'll send.
Yes,
I'll send.
yes. Okay, sir. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, yeah. Supriya ma'am, you there? Okay. One thing, the review link has been shared. Please do review us there. And Supriya ma'am, sir is going to just put in their center's name in the chat box. Please do share the recorded link recording to them. Okay, I'll do the needful. So I will be winding up the meeting now after I get the center name. If anybody has any other doubts, please do let me know. And we can leave the meeting also if you have no doubts. Thank you so much, teachers. Yes, sir, I got the this thing. I will message it. I will message the team and I'll do the needful. Okay. So yes.
I forwarded. My center.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I am.
I got it,
I
sir.
am from I am from Bangalore actually.
Okay.
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 So
Okay,
we
sir.
are having a team of people. We are having a team of around 10 teachers. We are having. We'll go to school. We'll give training. Okay, this is our center.
Okay.
We'll give the training
All right.
also, and we
That's a
are having
nice
the.
approach, sir. Yes.
It is our
Yeah.
main road. Only, our office. It is just main road.
Okay. Okay.
We are having 2 centers. We are having. We are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you for
Okay,
your
sir.
support.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I'll share
Okay.
the thing to the team, sir. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I'll end the meeting now, teachers. Uh, anything, you can get in touch with us whenever needed. Otherwise, okay. Thank you so much. And I'll end the meeting now. Thank you.
Đúng rồi.